So today I'm on Legardo. We're going to go down the road, but I'm going to do one of my commentary rides here. So this is his first time down the road for people looking at Legardo for sale. And you'll see how he reacts and all of that, and I'll put in little tidbits. But the other thing I'm going to talk about today is because so many people have problems with bits, they don't understand bits, and they have problems with the horse yanking their head around, yanking on the bit, and then the horse turning their head all over. Okay, so let's watch. I'm going to drop the reins. I'm now on the buckle. Legardo's pretty well trained, so he's looking around a little bit, but not too bad, right? Most of the gaited horses out there aren't trained very much at all, so when you drop the reins, they look all over and usually wander off that way. So the horses need to know who's the leader, who's going to help them. And they look around a lot because when they're nervous, they're unsure, it's a new place, or your reins are really loose. And the last one is they don't believe you're in charge. They don't trust you. They don't think you're a good leader. So they're looking around because they want to make sure that they're okay and that they're safe. Okay? So that's what they're looking for. What are they looking for? They're looking for movement, because if something moves, that thing might get them. So if you let the horse look all over and they're a spooky horse, they'll find something to spook at. It won't take long, and they'll just get spooky all over. So one, wear them out a little bit before you ride them. Lunge them, round pen them, but get some of that excess energy out, and then get them respectful on the ground. Keep them out of your space. When you're riding them, you're going to have your reins short enough. You'll always see my reins are short and always up in front of the horn. There's some quail running across. And you want to keep that horse's head straight. Now there's a man up here at the mailbox, so you see it, Legardo turning his head sideways. I'm letting him do that so he can see that guy, because remember, they see out of the side of their head, so different than us. Okay. So now we have goats and other things coming up here, so I'm going to have my reins short. I'm going to have enough contact, which means enough little pull on the reins that I can keep his head straight. Okay. Now all the horses get up here, look, and they smell those goats. Even if the goats aren't there, they know something's over there, and some of them aren't sure what they are, so it's normal for them to look. But what I want to do is tell them, hey, you're okay, I got it, don't worry about it. Okay, so I stopped the recording so that guy wouldn't think I was a weirdo talking to myself. Okay, now I forgot what we were saying. Oh, so I want them to know I'm in charge. I'm going to protect them and help them. So if that doesn't make sense to you, think you're driving in the car with somebody and the driver is doing this. They're looking all over the place. They're not paying attention. And you're in the car like, oh my God, they're not paying any attention. They don't know what they're doing. Wouldn't you feel safer if they kept their head straight and glanced around, but not constantly have their eyes off the road? Because you're afraid somebody's going to slam on the brakes. So it's same with the horse. You got to get them focused. I don't know how you're going to focus your friend in the car. That's a different story. But you got to get them focused, make them walk out a little bit, or give them a job to do. So let's do a little serpentine. And again, it's normal when they're in a new place to try to look around. You're just trying to tell them, hey, you don't have to look around because I'm in charge. And I'm going to help you. So you got to bring up your energy. Here comes a car. You got to pay attention, get the horse's attention, and just be like, we're fine, don't worry about it. Just keep walking by this thing. If they go sideways, they go sideways. You just ride it out. So you make sure they're paying attention. So just like when horses are in the shows, you'll see their heads are straight. Why is that? Because the people have enough contact to hold their head straight. Those horses would just be looking out of the arena the whole time. So if Legardo turns his head right, I pull it left. If he pulls his head left, I pull it right. It's not a hard pull, because if you overcorrect, you make him look the opposite way. So here, I have light contact, so I can feel his mouth, and I'm holding my reins just like they're little animals, little frogs, or little chickens, and it's a very light contact, but enough to keep his head straight. Now, I'm going to push my hands forward so he can move his head. See his head go more to the right? So I turn it to the left. Now he's turning it to the left. Now, I'm going to turn it a little bit to the right to straighten his head out. There, he looked off to the left again. So you'll see he can look around much more if, well, thanks, we'll pick that up on the way back, if I have less contact. Now, a lot of times people have ridden the horses on a loose rein, and the horses have gotten in the habit of looking all around. It's not their fault. They were allowed to do it. Nobody kept their head straight. So you wouldn't see that happen usually on a ranch or something, because those guys are doing cow work and fence work, and that horse needs to pay attention and help them. So you want to pick up the contact and say, that was nice that you had a life like that before, but that's not going to happen anymore. So you got to give that horse a new habit, okay? And to do that, you have to hold your reins and give them little jobs and correct it. Now, it can take a long time. It can take months. It could take years to do that. But if you're consistent, the horse will get better and better. If you're inconsistent and every time you talk with your friends, you go like this, that horse is going to look around forever, okay? So we're going by a weed whacker or something. No, chainsaw. You don't care. Oh, nice, he stopped. We're fine, thank you. All right. So you got to do it over and over again. Now, if you're like, well, my previous horse didn't do that, somebody probably corrected him, or he just didn't look around as much. Each horse is different. But the gaited horses, because they're flexible, especially the walking horses, because they're one of the most flexible breeds of them all, at least from what I've seen, they look around a lot more. And the more they look around, the more they're not paying attention to where their feet are, the trippier they get. So you want to get them focused, get them paying attention where they're walking, and help them know you're the leader, because that will also help them from being less spooky. Okay? So that's what I do when the horses are looking around. But I can tell you, when they all show up here, lots of them have been ridden on those loose reins. They don't gait well, and they don't pay attention. And so I have to be after them all the time. Okay? It's just a fact. Okay, so now let's talk about the horses yanking on the bit. There's lots of people who have bit problems because a lot of the horses weren't trained well, and then they put bigger and bigger bits in their mouth. And that, the longer the shank, the harsher the bit. It's, like a double twisted wire. They can get some head shake out of those horses. So instead of teaching them how to do it naturally and use their body, they get their heads shaken from that bit. And then the horse's mouth doesn't like it, it's numb, or they've been poking their palate. Something coming? Oh, that's a tractor taking down a tree on the left. But so the horse, okay, run Legardo. The horse has been overbitted and they never understood the bit. And that's why they're leaning on the bit, that's why they're yanking on the bit, or maybe their mouth has been damaged. And so that's another story, which I'll try to get to at the end. You're okay. So he's like, that's a manhole. I didn't have those where I came from, so that's good. He just went sideways, but nothing bad. Pick up. Good boy. Now he doesn't open gates well yet, so I doubt we're going to get this, but we'll try. Yeah. So until I can get them to do it properly, I'm going to push at it. And wait, don't pull. Boy, let's make sure it shuts. So he just rooted on the bit. He just yanked it. I don't know if you saw what I did, but I just held, and I was like, nope, you're not pulling on the bit. So when they pull on the bit, I hold. When they give to the bit, I release. But what I do with all the horses that have problems, I test them first, and I go, oh, this one's leaning left, that one's leaning right, this one just yanks on the bit and all that stuff. I put a loose ring snaffle in their mouth because it's harder for the horses to lean on those bits. And I teach them everything. I teach them to give to the bit, I get them to soften to the bit, and I teach them to gait with that bit. But I'm in the arena, I'm not on the trail, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. So I teach them what the bit means, how to respond to it. And, if you're a good rider, you can control a horse and a snaffle out on the trail. I just prefer not to. I did yesterday when I was chasing that fire. I was just going to snaffle and the horse was fine. But I know most of my clients are not good with snaffles. They're not good with their hands. They're not good with the releases. And so they're not going to get the same head set and head control to help them with gaits and safety with that snaffle in their mouth. So then I move up to usually a mile or a short shank bit. And then from there, if I need more help getting the horse's head down for that client, I'll put them in a longer shank. But I make sure, that they're soft with their hands and they're not doing anything wrong, but that will help the horse's head to get down more. So the less shank, the harder it is to get the horse's head down, because you have to be better with your hands, your timing, and your release. Okay, so we're going to buy some farm stuff. He doesn't care. So that's the hard part, and that's the hard part to realize, hey, I'm not good with my hands. So how do you get better with your hands? You go in the arena, your round pen, wherever you can, that's safe, and you can just stand there and you practice and you teach that horse to give to the bit. But I start with the loose ring snaffle. Now, you can use any snaffle, but if it's firm on the sides, they will be able to lean on it, so it might take longer to do. Okay. So I'll ride them all over in that snaffle, and then I'll put them in that short shank miler. And then you usually don't have to ride with as much contact, because when you pick up the reins, it makes contact sooner. When you ride with the snaffle, it doesn't make contact very fast, so it takes some time. And if the horse is bolting or doing something bad, you better be strong and good with your hands in order to stop them. And I can tell you most people aren't, and so that's why I recommend people usually ride them in shanks. You can ride them in hackamores, you can ride them in bitless bridles, but the snaffle, even compared to the hackamore, and the bitless bridle usually gives you less control if you're not good. Okay, so he's fine with mailboxes. And we're out here by ourselves, and just a reminder, he hasn't been ridden by himself much. Okay. So in the arena, I teach him to give to the bit, I teach him how to bend and how to turn, and anytime they pull on the bit, I brace my arms, I hold. If they don't bring their head down and release, I then add my leg, and I just create more and more pressure until the horse looks for an escape from the pressure, and as soon as it starts to put his head down, I release. Then I get more specific as time goes on, and I won't give until the horse puts its head down and it's not pulling on the bit at all. But in the beginning, you just got to give it the idea, hey, I want your head down. So if you put it down, you pull, I'll let go. And then when you put it down and you pull, I don't let go. Now I wait. And you repeat that over and over at a standstill, then you do it at a walk, then you do it at gait, then you do it at a canter, and you get that horse really soft in the bit. But it takes time. So the reason the horses root, and many of these horses do it, is one, they weren't trained well with a snaffle to start, or people just put harder and harder bits in their mouth instead of training them to get their gaits and get them to do things like slow down. And so they end up putting more and more bits. But I've taken horses with double twisted wires that people can control, their heads tied down, rode them in a snaffle, taught them everything, and I just put them in a nice little shank bit, that doesn't create too much pressure and has enough tongue relief. And each horse is different, so some have a big tongue, and so that's good. It made a noise right next to us, good. And we got flags right on our right hand side here. So if the horse is putting its tongue out of its mouth or its tongue over the bit, that means there's too much pressure on that horse's tongue. So you need something that gives it relief. And the ones that give them relief have ports in them. Okay? And you can always call the bit maker and ask them about it. They're usually happy to help you. So the other thing is, some of these horses have low palates, and that's why some of them are happier in the shank bits versus some of the snaffles, because the snaffles bend. And some of the shanks with those rollers, they give room for the tongue and they give relief. So you got a pony and a weed whacker sticking out in the guy. So he's looking, but he's not doing anything bad. Hi, thank you. Come on. Hi, little pony. Getting warm out.
Yeah, it's
right?
nice. Kind of like a lizard when it warms up a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Yep. So the thinner the bit, of course, everybody thinks harsher, and they can be. But some of these horses, and every horse is different, but some of these horses have big tongues and they have low palates, so they have no room in their mouth. And that's some of the reasons why they don't like the bit, is you've been using the wrong one. So if you get a thinner bit, or one that has a roller or a dog bone or something in the middle, and it doesn't have that snaffle in the middle, it won't pinch their tongue, it won't hit their palate as much, and they're usually more happy. Okay, so the straight bar curbs that you see, those are, you're supposed to ride with one hand, not two with those. They don't give you independent reins like the ones that are broken in the middle with the rollers, the dog bones, and the snaffle mouthpieces. So I like, because I'm riding with two hands, even though it's a shank, because I'm helping them gait. We're going by pony screaming up on the hill, but he's fine. There's another pony down here, so we'll see. This one might get running. Yep. Hi! Just run over! There you go. Okay. So, I know he's probably going to follow us down the fence. So I had to push him. He stopped. Like, let's stop there. And I'm like, no, just stop. Ignore the pony. So we got ponies running up on the hill behind us. I got a pony next to us. He's doing good, but look, I'm serpentining. Like, hey, pay attention. Get back to me. Because he's paying attention to them instead of me. And even though he's good, when something's coming up, a bike, a person, your horse starts getting goofy, give him a job to do, try to refocus them, okay? Alright, where were we, Legardo? Oh, so that horse needs room in its mouth. And so some of the times, that's what the whole problem is. You're using bits that are mild, but they're fat. That's why they're softer in the horse's mouth, but some of the horses don't have that much room in their mouth, okay? And that's why they're sticking their tongue out or doing things. Now the next thing is, if you don't practice and you don't get good with your hands, and this is a big problem, most people balance off their horse's mouth. So that, you know, they're leaning forward because they're out of balance, or they're used to riding hunt seat and they're like this, but they're trying to get the horse to gait, so then they're pulling on the horse's mouth. And then the horse, in defense, is like, hey, you got 150 pounds pulling on my mouth. I don't like that, so I'm going to pull back because I'm 1,000 pounds. So they pull you forward. Then you pull harder. They pull harder. You get a bigger bit. They pull. They don't like that bit. You pull harder, and it becomes a war. And then the horse just starts grabbing the bit, rooting on it, and taking you wherever it is. Okay? What's the answer? You have to get a better seat. Go in the round pen, ride that horse around, let it go loose if it's safe, hold on to the horn, and just work on your balance. Because if you don't get your balance well, there's a sprinkler up on the radar person. No. Hi! If you don't get your balance, you'll balance off the horse's mouth. And then the whole problem with the horse's bit and all these things where it didn't have a problem before is because you are putting your weight on that horse's mouth. So if you become a better rider, a lot of times you don't have to switch the bit or anything. You just got to become a better balanced rider, learn how to use your hands properly, how to release, how to give, what light contact is, and all the issues go away. But if you don't practice and you only, do it on the trail, you don't practice at home where it's safe, and you try when the horse is all amped up, it's not going to go well. So that's what the arena for. The arena is for practice in the round pen, wherever, your barn, aisle, anywhere you can go stand and practice and just walk around a little bit. You got to get good at it. That's why people take thousands and thousands of lessons, and all the Olympic people, the dressage riders, eventers, reiners, cow horses, take thousands of lessons learning. And they usually take them forever. And those people are very, very good riders. But a lot of the gaited people don't take many lessons at all. And so they don't do it properly. And then you have all these issues with your horse that wouldn't be there if you had actually learned to ride properly. So I'm not putting any of you down. I'm just telling you, if you learn and practice, watch my videos, practice those things, and keep trying to get yourself better. And your horse will tell you, when your horse is starting to act better, they're not looking around, they're putting their head down, they're not yanking on the bit. You're like, wow, I did that. I fixed him. So you can learn. You're never too old, you're never too late. Okay? I think that's all I was going to talk about, bits. Giving to the bit and softening. Alright. So Legardo has been good while I've been doing all this stuff. So he's a Rocky. You'll see he's got a shorter stride when he's walking slow. But he's very comfortable. And maybe we'll go faster when we get up here. What was that weird noise? Something's in the bush. But you saw he just spooked in place. Okay, so we're going to do some of his gait up here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to push with both legs. I put some more contact on the reins to bring his head down. He knows to get to the bit. And then you heard me cluck. Did you hear his gait change? So now he does this nice little rocky gait. And as he goes faster, I get a little side-to-side motion. That's not a pace. It's a little wiggle in the saddle because people get confused with the pace is side-to-side. When you do the racking motion, I'll stop looking at that horse. You'll get a little wiggle as some of them engage their back end and go faster. So listen to football. Now, you could hear the 4-beat footfall, but it might have sounded a little bit funny because he bent his shoe yesterday running around. And so it's bent and I gotta get it fixed tomorrow. So it's okay enough that I can ride on it, but it's making a little bit different noise there. Good job. So you saw he's good with traffic, cars, and all those things, but you know, when you know something might be scaring your horse, don't just sit there. Try to give him a job, focus him on something else. That's why it's helpful to know how to leg yield and serpentine and do lateral movements, because you'll actually use them out here. Some people learn all that stuff in the arena. They don't get dressage people and other English people, and they don't even know what they're for. And I was like, yes, it's to teach the horse to move its hindquarters off your leg, move your shoulders away from your leg, but you use that as a defense mechanism when you're out on the trail and you need to control your horse. All those movements were created to control the horses during war, so they could fight and move the horses over and get the people, but everybody forgets that. And that's why everybody gets on the left side, because the knights had their sword. And so it was easier with that sword on their left leg to get in the saddle. So it doesn't matter which side you get on as long as your horse is comfortable with it. Unless you have a big long sword on your left leg. Let's see if that alpaca are back. Oh, they are back. I don't know if he's ever seen alpaca before. There's just 1, 2. There they are. Look at those, Legardo. Oh, look. So again, I don't know if he really sees them or not. We think he does, but does he? Because his eyes are on the side of his head. So you can go look, but don't touch that fence. And never let him touch random fences because they could be electric. And you're going to get a big surprise. You're such a good boy. So he don't care. Alright, so now we're going to go back. Alright, so when you ride your horse out, I'm going to go back to looking around. Your horse is going to look around a lot. When you start heading home, guess what? The horse is focused. They're focused on home. I didn't even notice that weird green thing when we went by. So he didn't care about that either. And so you'll see if I drop the reins now, he's not looking around as much, except I am going by scary things. So as you go home, that horse will be more focused on home, and usually you'll want to go faster. So if your horse can carry his head straight on the way home, then he can carry his head straight on the way out. But it's you making the difference. It's you getting him focused, like home is focusing them and making them pay attention to you. The gator horses are very flexible, so if you're coming from quarter horses, they're very stiff, so it's actually harder for them to look all over the place unless it's a flexible one. But these guys can look one direction and run the total opposite direction. And so they will do that while you're riding them, and then they start tripping because they're not even looking at the footing. You know, they're looking off at the car over here, but we're going straight. And then they're looking at the trees over there, but we're going straight. And then they hit a bump in the road and trip. So make them pay attention to where you're going. And you can always stop and turn the horses to let them look at things, but be careful if you got a trippy one about letting them look while you're walking, because that's when they'll trip. So now we're going to gait a little bit more. So this is a little bit slower gait for him. So you'll hear a little different footfall. And then let's speed up for a minute. shadow. Remember, it looks different to them. He's doing well, but now I'm going to slow him down. So I'm going to squeeze and relax down my reins, squeeze and relax, no leg, because he's going forward enough, so I don't have to use my leg when I'm half halting. Only when they're going slower, I'm really trying to engage them. So now we slow down, then you just relax. Remember, horses mirror people, so if you're tense, you can make a horse tense, especially one that already has anxiety, not a good match. If you're calm, and you got a hot horse, a lot of times you can calm it down. Now, if you're calm and the horse is calm, sometimes you make them too trippy. So, it's all matchmaking here. Can you help that horse? Is it a good match? Not, is it pretty and it's the right height and the right gait? All those things you can work on, but you want safe, good temperament, willing horse. So you'll hear he has 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Listen. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you go faster, if you're doing the gait well, that's what you should hear. Now he pulled a little on the bit, so I just held until he gave. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So no matter how fast we go, if he's doing his gaits really well, you'll hear a clear beat 4-beat footfall. When they're on the pacey side or the step pacing, the separation between the sound, like 1, 2, 3, 4, won't be the same. It's, everybody gets confused, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's usually more with the pacey horses. Doesn't mean they won't be, there's a car, won't be smooth. It just means their footfall is different because they're doing more of a step pace. If you hear 1, 2, 1, 2, that's either a pace or a trot, and that's not one of the gaits we're trying to get, usually. So now it's changed, we're going downhill a little bit, and now he's getting a little bit more step pacey. Because going downhill makes a lot of horses pacey. Now he's still comfortable, it's not bad. It's still very smooth, but it changed a little bit. Hear that? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So a regular gait has more of a space, so I'm going to slow him down. Okay. Pull on the bit, hold. See, he's doing it too. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's just a little bit more of an even space, and that can make the difference between smoothness. All right. Looks like Gaye just shut up. Let's go. So inclines, slight inclines are a great place for your gait. Especially the pacey ones. Trotty ones, you usually have to go a little slower, but the pacey ones are the ones that just gait, you're good to go. Now there's dogs running down the hill to the left. You might not be able to see them. That pony's up here, and so I know that might make this horse a little amped up. He's a good horse, but he's not a dead horse. So when I get up here, if this thing starts screaming and running around, I want to be prepared. So I'm shortening my reins up ahead of time. Then you breathe, relax your butt and everything, sit right in the middle of your saddle so you've got good balance. Don't be leaning forward when you think that horse might do something. It's a good way to come off. So now he's just walking up behind us, so he did good. But see, if I changed my energy and went running by that pony, it would have amped that pony up. The pony would have started running, which would have made this horse get more amped up, and it could have made a whole crazy situation. You can do what you want, but I'm always trying to keep the horses safe, especially when I'm on cement. He did great with all these farm things, the houses, the dogs, the ponies, the cars. Yeah, they're ponies waiting for you. There's 2 ponies in here, so it's 2 troublemakers. Oh, 3. And when they get together, ponies are trouble. They're fine right now, but same thing. They're staying in the shade. They could come all running over screaming and trying to get my horse to get over there. Make sure they're paying attention to you and just give them something to do to occupy their mind until they get by. We got the electric gate opening. Oh, we're good. Thank you. Now, see, we could go through the electric gate, but we gotta shut this gate. So that's gonna close in a minute, which might scare him. So I don't want to be closing that gate, which he doesn't do well yet. Yet. And I'm gonna get off, but not while he's got his head down and the gate's closing. Okay? Yeah, I told you it was closing. So I'm supposed to get down, be safe when you're not sure of what the situation's going to bring, and I already know he doesn't know how to open gates. I have to teach it to him, so he'll be much better. And I do this over and over. Most all the horses do not know how to open gates. It's normal. Okay? And I'm going to walk back because we need some exercise, and he's already been by all that stuff, and he's fine, right? Okay. What else? Oh, one more thing. So, when they pull on the bit, if they get the reins from you because you're not strong enough, do a couple things. Get rubber reins so you can hold them better. Wear gloves. That's why people wear gloves, so it doesn't rip against your hand and you don't get sweaty and lose your grip. And then, practice where they don't do it as hard at home. But if every time they yank on that bit, they get the reins from your hand, the horse taught himself that's how you get a release. That's how I get that lady to stop pulling on my mouth, is I pull back, or she pulls, I pull back, she lets go. So that's why they're doing it. It's not like they're being mean. They're like, I want to release. She's bothering me. So you have to teach them. They pull, you hold, they pull, you just keep holding. You don't pull harder. You just hold. They keep pulling, you keep holding. They might sit there for 3 minutes trying to figure it out, and as soon as they release, they're not pulling on that bit, even for 1 second, you give. You can just loosen your rein, give to them. And the quicker you can do that, the more they understand, but then you keep repeating until they really understand that. Okay? Alright. Hope that helps. We're going to shut the camera off to save video. And Legardo says thanks for coming for the ride. He had a nice time.